What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, guys, so we are basically going to continue our coverage over the Reign of X era of X-Men comics, where we actually do pick up with New Mutants number 18. Now, with that being said, this is the book where we basically see the return of a character we have not seen in a good period of time, and that character is no other than Tran. Now, Tran is actually the brother to Karma. Now, both characters actually first appeared back in 1980 Marvel Team Up number 100. Of course, it was a book where Spider-Man teamed up with the Fantastic Four. Now, in that book, we basically kind of got the origin of both Tran and her brother, where of course we did find out they were twins, but on top of that, they had the same exact power, where of course they both can basically take over someone's mind completely and make that person do whatever they want. Here's the big difference though. Tran used his powers for evil. He basically used his powers for evil to help out his evil uncle, who was kind of a high-ranked person in the army in their country. And so he used his powers to help himself and to also help his uncle. And so, of course, it did lead into a lot of different conflicts between him and his twin sister, Karma, where, of course, she had no choice but to actually absorb his life essence, which, of course, basically killed him. Now, if you did not see our last video for New Mutants, this is where things get very important, because in our last video, Tran kind of been dead for a while, and Karma kind of forgot about her brother. And so with that, you had this white rabbit following her around. And of course, this white rabbit was a way for her to remember that she had a twin brother, Tran. And basically, his life essence was inside of her. And so she feels like with COPPA being around, all bad mutants are being given a second chance. And so she kind of wants to give her brother a second chance by basically bringing him back to life. Because Apocalypse got a second chance, Omega Red also got a second chance, and so it makes sense for her brother, who was evil, to get a second chance. But of course, she has to go through a very difficult process. And of course, that difficult process is the Crucible. Now remember, the Crucible was introduced by Jonathan Hickman as a way to help mutants who were depowered thanks to House of M to be killed off, but then brought back to life in a new body with their powers once again in their possession. Because remember, when it came to House of M, the Scarlet Witch, she did wipe out a lot of people's powers. Now, most of those people got their powers back, but of course, some did not. And of course, they still carried the X gene, just not their powers. And so with that, what you had Apocalypse do on COPPA was made the Crucible as the way to kill someone off, so that when you're brought back to life, you can have a new body with your powers once again. Now, the Crucible has been a very touchy topic in New Mutants, and the reason why, because you do have some mutants who want to use this idea, the Crucible, to basically die and come back in a new body, but for a completely different reason. Because over time, you have mutants who had their powers manifest, but of course, it changed their actual appearance. And so they want to be killed off, come back with their powers, but to look normal again. But of course, when it comes to COPPA, that right there, you cannot do that. And so most mutants have been denied because most of them want to use the Crucible for that reason. Now, while you have Danny Moonstar and Karma fighting against each other in the middle of the Crucible, that is the moment we actually do pick up with Scout. Now remember, Scout used to be known as Honey Badger. On top of that, she is the clone of X-23, or you could say the clone of the second Wolverine. Now, with that being said, you do have Honey Badger right now going to Warpath. Now, the reason why, because she wants to kind of ask him his opinion on a very touchy topic where, of course, right now you kind of have a mutant doing some bad things to some younger mutants to basically kind of get what he wants from them. And of course, she is talking about the Shadow King, because remember, the Shadow King was given a second chance to basically come onto COPPA. Now, with this second chance, it's basically Shadow King using the ability to kind of kill off people to absorb their life energy, but knowing that they can basically be brought back to life again thanks to the X-Men new idea of resurrection. Because remember, when it comes to X-Men by this point, they can come back to life just like that. Because thanks to the five mutants who are able to make you a new clone body, that means they're able to bring you back with a new clone body and all your memories downloaded into that clone body. And so Shadow King is kind of using that as a way to torture young mutants, but he's doing it at a very slow pace, meaning that he's not killing off mutants left and right, because he knows if he does that, that means basically more eyes will be on him. But he slowly is draining younger mutants' life energy to do what he wants, which of course, bad things. But you do have Warpath tell Scout, not Honey Badger, which again, I love her name Honey Badger better than Scout, but he tells Warpath, or Warpath tells her, you know, hey, it's okay to worry about your friend, because that means you're being a good friend if you're actually worried about them. And that is the moment we actually do pick up with Scout right now, meeting up with her friends. Of course, these are the friends that she's actually worried about, because these are the friends in our last couple videos who have been kind of expressing how they feel about being mutants. Like, yes, they love their powers, but thanks to them being mutants, of course, their appearance has changed. Now, of course, for some of them, their appearance has changed because of their mutation. But for others, it changed because evil people have done evil things to them. Now, with that being said, though, is Scout trying to talk to her friends and say, listen, what the Shadow King is doing to you guys is wrong. Now, of course, when Scout does meet up with her friends, right now, her friends are trying to use their abilities together to basically take their mind and put inside a dead body. You're kind of like, wait, what do you mean? Because this kind of builds off what we saw in X Factor. And what I mean is that in X Factor, you have Prodigy basically ask Dr. Reyes if he can study the dead bodies of dead mutants to learn more about them. Because with them being dead, their body's just laying there. And of course, that means you have the five make them a new body. And so their old body is just there. And so Prodigy wants to use the dead bodies as a way to learn more about science. Here's the thing, though. You have these younger mutants wanting to use their abilities as a way to kind of put their minds into those dead bodies and use those dead bodies to live a normal looking life. Not a mutant, not a human life, a normal looking life. They just want to look normal, but to also have their abilities as well. Now, you have Scout basically say that is wrong, because you do not have the person permission to use their previous dead body for your own personal gain. That's messed up. But to these kids, they're kind of like, you don't understand, Scout, because you look normal enough. We don't. Our mutation had changed us. And so we want to look normal for once. Now, you do have Wolfbane appear, and she basically takes Scout away so that they can talk and kind of let everyone cool down, because it was getting very heated. Now, getting back over to Danny Moonstar and Karma, you do have that fight actually continue, where you do have Danny Moonstar and Karma fighting against each other in the Crucible. Because here's the thing, if Danny Moonstar is able to actually kill off Karma, that means then the five will be able to actually make two bodies. one for Karma and one for her twin brother Tran, because his life energy is basically trapped inside her body. And so they want to get that life energy out of her. But of course, when they do that, he has to have a body for himself. And so, of course, you do have Danny Moonstar being able to actually kill Karma off so that Karma and her twin brother both can be brought back to life. Now, this is where the story begins to wind down very quickly and kind of leaves on a cliffhanger, because you do have Wolfbane and Scout go meet up with Shadow King, because this is basically Scout saying, I am going to confront Shadow King and tell him how I feel about the idea of him trying to use my friends for his own personal gain. And of course, you have him, or have her, sorry, go to Shadow King and tell him, you are not going to mess with my friends anymore. It is basically going to stop here and now. Now, the book does kind of end on a real big cliffhanger for the main cast of the New Mutants. And what I mean by that is you do have the Crucible end with the death of Karma. She died by the hands of her dear friend Danny Moonstar. And so with that happen, that means she can basically be brought back to life thanks to the Five, which of course we are told that she is brought back to life. The big question is though, is her twin brother also have been brought back to life? That is the big question for the next video. So with that being said, please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.